Hi everyone. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. All the details are in today's video, and if you enjoy it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support keeps this community thriving. Now, let's step into what unfolded in the early hours of yesterday morning in Idler, where a gathering that began as a quiet birthday celebration among close friends developed into a defining moment for one of the most talked about names in Turkish television, Alina. The party itself was discreet, a warm blend of private toasts, familiar laughter, and music low enough to keep conversation at center stage. It ended the way so many nights in Istanbul do, under a cobalt sky, where dim streetlights lay amber paths across the pavement. And it was there, at the doorway of the venue, that Alina emerged alongside her sister. Photographers had been waiting, patient and calculating, their timing sharpened by weeks of speculation that refused to die down. As soon as the door swung open, the flashes came, slicing the night into staccato bursts while voices crowded the air, questions about her heart, whispers about reunions, the name on everyone's lips, Navruz. Alina, seasoned by years in the public eye yet protective of her inner world, stood with a poise that seemed both learned and instinctive. Her expression stayed composed, thoughtful rather than evasive. She didn't rush, she also didn't linger. The quiet choreography of a woman who has spent long enough under bright lights to know when to step forward and when to hold her ground. She wore a black ensemble that balanced restraint with style, a look sharpened by a leather jacket that lent her presence a crisp, resolute edge. Her sister, walking just off her shoulder, had chosen a cream-colored coat that flowed nearly to her ankles. It was elegant on its own, but it also formed an unexpected buffer, a soft-toned barrier between Alina and the hungry lens of curiosity. What truly caught observers, however, wasn't the wardrobe or even the cadence of the flashes, it was the quiet coordination between the two women. You could see it in the way they moved, the slight shift of a shoulder, the hand that hovered near but didn't cling, the glances that said more than words could. A private language learned over years of shared rooms and whispered reassurances. That intimacy altered the texture of the scene. It was less a star confronted by the press and more a pair of sisters writing their own small ritual of care in the middle of a chaotic sidewalk. Around them, of course, hovered the topic that has dominated entertainment chatter for weeks, Alina and Alp, the relationship that once commanded headlines and now fed the rumor mill with talk of reconciliation. Every sighting, every like, every subtle nod on social media had been turned inside out by those searching for clues. The city has a way of storing love stories in its alleys, they echo long after the last candle goes out. But last night, after a pause that felt deliberate, Alina chose to give those echoes a gentle, unequivocal ending. Her voice was friendly but firm, carrying the controlled kindness of someone who refuses to let her life be rewritten by speculation. She said that certain parts of our lives belong in closed chapters, that it is natural to step away from what once felt inevitable, and that she and Alp are walking along different paths now. There was nothing bitter in the phrasing, nothing theatrical. It was a boundary drawn with grace, the kind that protects rather than punishes. She reminded everyone that her attention is fixed on her work, her friends, and her own growth, and that the past, while not something to erase, is not the place she intends to live. Her sister stepped in then, not to silence the moment, but to round it out, to make sure no thread was left dangling. She explained, simply, that Alina is well, that her center of gravity is her craft and her close circle, and that recycling old narratives serves no one. The intent wasn't to scold, only to turn the spotlight toward the present where it belonged. And strangely, the scene calmed. The questions didn't cease, but they softened, as if people knew they'd already received the answer that mattered. Online reactions exploded in real time. Some praised Alina's composure, noting the clarity with which she addressed something the public had been trying to decode for weeks. Others were captivated by the sisterly bond on display, the unspoken unity that made the exit feel less like a retreat and more like an intentional, dignified ending to a persistent rumor. A phrase repeated across timelines stood out, an act of elegance against the whirlwind. Many saw in her tone a seasoned command over her own story, no anger, no evasiveness, only a decision to protect her peace and to frame her life around what she is building rather than what once was. And that dovetailed with a second thread pulsing beneath the gossip, Alina's professional stride. She is, by all accounts, deep in preparation for her next television project. Details remain under wraps, but those close to the production hint at a drama with a taut, emotional core, tentatively titled Glass Moon. Alina has kept her statements measured, just enough enthusiasm to spark curiosity, just enough privacy to let the work speak when the time comes. It seems deliberate, this decision to anchor her public image in creativity rather than romance. Not a denial of love or its complications, but a refusal to let the noise of it drown out the part of her that belongs to scripts, sets, and the quiet thrill of bringing a character to life. When the car pulled up, the sisters moved with an ease that underscored everything that had just transpired. No rush, no theatrics. The doors shut with a soft thud, and the street resumed its night rhythms, leaving behind a tableau that lingered, two women choosing gentleness over spectacle. In its simplicity, the moment broadcast a powerful message. Family as shelter. Boundaries as care. And the right to define what one leaves behind without apology. Of course, questions remain. Public curiosity is nothing if not resilient. Will interest in Alina and Alp's story fade, or will it flare up with every new event, every new role, every chance encounter in a city where circles intersect? Those who followed them from the beginning understand why their names keep finding their way back into the same sentence. There was chemistry, there was momentum, there is a shared history that fans still hold dear. But what Alina asked for last night wasn't to erase that history, it was to put it in its rightful place. To allow space for two people to grow separately, to reflect without performance, to honor the past by letting it rest. For viewers here at Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we want to hear from you. Does Alina's statement close the door on reunion rumors once and for all, or do you think the spotlight will continue to search for sparks whenever they appear in the same frame? Do you prefer when public figures speak directly and set the record straight, or is silence the more effective guardrail against the churn of speculation? And beyond the romance, are you ready for a deeper look at Alina's upcoming role, a thoughtful piece on Alp's recent projects, or a broader dive into the evolving dynamics of Turkish film and television? If this kind of measured, in-depth storytelling speaks to you, consider supporting Turkish Spotlight Secrets so we can keep bringing you carefully sourced narratives and the moments that matter most. Subscribe, leave a like if this resonated with you, and share your thoughts in the comments. If you'd like to help us go even further, you can tap the join button to become a member. Your support doesn't just keep the lights on, it shapes which stories we follow and how we tell them, ensuring that respect and curiosity stay at the center of our coverage. Stepping back from the heat of the moment, last night in Idolur will likely be remembered less for drama and more for tone. A soft assertion, a respectful line, and a pivot toward priorities that have nothing to do with conjecture. In an industry that thrives on cliffhangers, Alina offered something rarer, closure without conflict. She framed her life not around what people hope to see in a headline, but around what she knows to be true. That truth now includes a clear separation between what was shared with Alp and what each of them is shaping independently in the present. And there's something quietly instructive in that image of the departing car, gliding into the early morning stillness. It reminds us that public figures don't owe us every page of their story, even when we feel invested in the plot. They allow us to watch their characters grow, to celebrate their wins, to debate their choices on screen. But the off-screen arcs belong to them. Alina's message was never a rejection of her audience, it was a reminder that the most luminous parts of her life are made not for the cameras, but for the work, the people she trusts, and the self she's steadily becoming. Meanwhile, interest in Alp remains strong. He is a figure whose presence commands attention, and fans will continue to map his professional trajectory with care. The question is whether the public can hold two ideas at once, that two talented people can have shared history and separate futures, and allow each of them to be defined by more than familiar frames. If last night's energy is any indication, that balance is possible, even if it takes time. Social feeds already reflect a shift, more emphasis on roles, scripts, and premieres, fewer reruns of the same romantic storyline. There is, after all, a certain relief in moving on. Not in the hard, defensive way that closes doors with a slam, but in the quiet, confident way that opens new ones. Alina's calm made that visible. Her sister's presence made it tangible. And the audience's response, curious yet respectful, suggested that a new rhythm is taking hold. So here we are, at the beginning of another chapter. Not the kind that hides from the past, but the kind that sets it gently on a shelf. Turkish Spotlight Secrets will be here for the premieres, the set whispers, the moments when a scene clicks into place and a character suddenly breathes. We'll keep our attention on what is being created, because that is where the pulse truly is. To everyone watching, thank you for spending part of your day with us. Your engagement keeps this conversation thoughtful and alive. We'll keep following Alina's journey, we'll track Alp's next moves, and we'll bring you the snapshots that deserve attention, minus the white noise. Until then, take care, be kind in the comments, and remember, the most compelling stories aren't just the ones that make noise, they're the ones that leave something genuine behind. We'll see you in the next video, right here on Turkish Spotlight Secrets.